What's up, everybody? This is Jose from Southern Life. On this video, we're in beautiful Venice, Florida, one of my favorite places in the entire state. We're going to look at how pretty the city is, and we're also going to talk about the red tide and how it's affecting this place. Beautiful coastal communities, some of the best places you can live. Unfortunately, they're dealing with a very serious problem. We're going to get into that in this video, so let's go for a ride. Love to be here. I'm so happy to be back in Venice. There's a sign, welcome to Venice. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Palm trees, an incredible fishing pier, awesome beach vibes. This is one of the coolest beach towns in the entire state of Florida. I hope you guys are ready for an adventure with us today. I got Katie with me.
Yes, and I'm happy.
Yo, couldn't be happier. Where else would I rather be than in Venice, one of the best beach towns in Florida. Trees, tropical vibes. It's kind of like a little slice of California in Florida, in a good way. It's a little slice of California. I mean it in a good way. Look at this. Who wouldn't want to be here? This is definitely an awesome little town. It's kind of what Naples would be if it hadn't blown itself out of proportion. Venice reminds me a lot of Naples, the town that I'm from, for the same reason you see here. Just incredible beach vibes. Whoever idea it was to bring these giant palm trees and plant them here did a great job. They look amazing. I have no complaints about this town. I love it. You're close to Sarasota. You're also close to Boca Grande, which is an incredible little escape from it all. Clear water beaches, some of the best in the state. Most of the time, sometimes the Gulf Coast isn't the cleanest coast. It does have some of the whitest sands in a lot of places, but it doesn't have the clearest water. Destin, West Palm Beach, those places take that. Palm Beach, better said. I'll take a ride through the historic center of town so you guys can see what the downtown looks like. I love the height of these palm trees. It almost feels like you're in Hollywood, California or something. I always relate this place to California, and there's a Venice in California as well. This is definitely one of my favorite places in Florida to be. I love the vibes. I love how laid back it is. It's a very safe place to be. Great place to enjoy life and just go for a little ride. There's not too many bad things I can say about Venice. It's kind of like a little Naples. Naples and Venice have a lot in common. But this place is one of the few places in Florida that I can really fairly compare to Naples, Florida, and say it's just on par with it. I mean, this place has all the vibes you want from a beach town. Definitely, if I were to ever have enough income where I could consider living in a place like this would definitely be on the top of my list. So if you're able to afford living in a place like this and you're thinking about it and you're able to make it happen, congratulations to you. Not this guy, but you. Congratulations to you. And just realize how fortunate you are that a lot of people would want to be able to live in a place like this, and they are the best human being they can within their capacity, and they're still not able to achieve it. So be thankful if you're able to do it. Be a happy person. So here we have some oak trees. There's a Spanish moss growing on them. Just love it.
And I think we were here before seeing certain things happen, so it was different.
It was more lively last time we were here, that's for sure. Now it's been kind of wild. I like the trees. I think one of the biggest drawbacks of most places in Florida is the absolute lack of vegetation and tree cover that kind of gives other places an advantage over Florida for day-to-day livability. This town has really done a good job incorporating some of these trees you can see here, big oaks and stuff like that. It's way more relaxed, way more laid back. In fact, I think there's a lot more elderly people that come here. Woo, Wow, the water looks good. You see the ocean? Awesome. It feels great to be here. It feels full life. I feel amazing.
The frequency of your claps hurts my ears. I don't know.
I clap, I talk loud, I kill a man. Y tú no me estés trying to desensitize my Cuban ability, okay? Porque me pongo pesado.
Yeah. See a lot of.
Yep, there's that red tide.
And
So
scummy
the
things.
red tide, it's there. I just saw a dead fish.
Yeah.
Red tide is super high right
It
now.
looks really scummy and red.
I can feel it. If you've ever wondered what the red tide is, well, unfortunately, this beautiful part of Florida is dealing with algae bacteria in the water that kills the fish. It also causes neurological effects on humans, respiratory complications. I can definitely feel it right now. And if you look in the water carefully, you'll notice that there's dead fish.
I mean, I had a really bad panic attack earlier today.
Yeah, it's horrible for your. You can feel it. I can feel it already.
Yes.
Please
remove me from the situation.
Let's get out of here. If you think this is going away, no dead fish here. There were some dead fish on the other side. If you think this is going away, it's only gotten worse and worse and worse, and it's not even supposed to be happening during this time of the year. So those
Gotta
people,
go away.
you know how.
Shadow away.
I can definitely feel it. This is not normal. Red tide has always existed. I've been in Florida for 20 years. Red tide has always existed, but since 2015, 2016, it's even started to affect humans, not just animals. And it's been quite the unpleasant experience, and it's not going away, and it's not getting better. So the red tide is pretty much the death of the ocean, and it's only gotten worse over the years. I say from 2015, 2016, it really got worse in Florida. Initially, it's a normal occurring thing in nature, but in the last 5 years, it's really gotten out of proportion. It used to never affect humans. It would be something that would happen offshore. Fish would die offshore. But in the last little bit, it's gotten to the point where even humans get sick from it, especially those with respiratory problems like myself. Now, Venice is known for its incredible beaches. Unfortunately, the red tide has really made these beaches unattractive for a lot of people, especially those with respiratory complications like myself. It is a beautiful day out here. The sand along the beaches here in Venice is very generous. Lots of sand. There's the Jetty Park, which is a great place to hang out and chill. Hang out. Love, one of my favorite places in Florida. And you can smell the red tide right now. Now, while the water is the color you'd want to see, I can assure you the smell here is strong. That doesn't prevent people from swimming on the beach. As you can see, there's still people swimming. But the smell of dead fish is in the air. You can definitely smell the red tide today. And you can even feel it on your feet as your feet get really itchy. The sand here isn't a perfectly white colored sand. It's kind of like a gray sand, and it's very radiant to heat, where in Naples, Florida, the sand is kind of all white, and you can walk barefoot on the sand without your feet getting hot. But this sand here, it's a little bit darker, and it's very hot. You can actually feel it burning through your feet. As you can see, it's a gorgeous place. In the distance, you can make out the Pier of Venice. Way off in the distance, you can see the Venice Pier in one direction. The beautiful place that I love to hang out and fish over there. So you can see those two things. Awesome stuff. Unfortunately, the smell of the red tide is present, because look at this. This is freaking Florida. This is the best of Florida, and here we are with a situation this bad. It's really sad that it has to be this way. It's really disappointing. that just a beautiful place has this situation going on. And the most disappointing thing is that there seems to be no logical end in sight as every year it continues to worsen. Nonetheless, that doesn't stop people from building and continue to build more and more along the coast and inland. And it makes you wonder if these people are aware of the severity of this red tide situation. Not everybody has the same tolerance for this stuff. Some people are even able to swim in the water, like we can see here. A few people are actually going in that water. Other people like myself, even far inland, we're able to get really sick and have respiratory problems, which I've been having ever since I got down to Florida. This is the sad reality of red tide and what it's doing to our beaches. It's really, really sad to be here and to see this. You have right there a little puffer fish that looks like a lizard fish or a toadfish. We have some mullet. I mean, some of this stuff is in different states of decomposition. You have some mojaras. I mean, the entire shoreline is littered with nothing but, this sand is so freaking hot, man. It's like literally burning your life away. But I mean, it's from maybe a sea snake, some sort of sea snake here. Here's part of a fishing line. And then there's other fish that are larger. I mean, the entire shore here is littered. That was definitely a mistake to take my shoes off here. I'm used to the sands of Naples, Florida. I literally had to run back. This sand gets so hot. In Naples, Florida, you can take your shoes off and you're fine. Here, this sand is incredibly warm. For the most part, we're downwind right now. So the smell of dead fish is being pushed into our face. But once you're on that side of it, there's some human litter, but most of this is the carcasses of fish, big and small, who have perished. The smell is definitely not pleasant, and the variety of fish that are in here is really disappointing. Here we have, that looks like a sea snake or an eel right there, and well, it just continues. There's a lot of litter here as well. Like this was a knife, a butcher's knife from a fishing adventure. Somebody who lost their Red Bull. Apparently the Red Bull gave them wings and they flew away and left the can right there. But it's really disappointing how many eels and small species of fish are in here. The amount of death along this shore is unbearable. A lot of times I feel like the news has kind of turned a blind eye to this, and they've kind of abandoned this topic. You know, at first they've covered it a little bit, but they've really stopped covering this subject. They've kind of got off this. Some people are still here enjoying the beach despite the obvious smell and the obvious problem that we have. Some ants and some maggots are making their way to it. It's a decent sized snook right there. The smell is obviously repugnant. Looks like a little pergy, I think those were called. But the smell is repugnant, and the news has pretty much dropped this subject. It doesn't benefit them to continue to show this stuff because it hurts their tourism, it hurts their ratings. So it's not a popular subject that they want to continue to exploit. Really, it hurts their bottom line if they continue to show what's going on here. So it's definitely something that has, at this point, escaped the news. They're just not trying to cover it as much. They know it's hurting tourism, it's hurting real estate, and people are losing or have the potential to lose millions of dollars if they were to elaborate too much on this situation. Me personally, I'm going to tell you the truth, what I think. I think in the last 5 years, this situation has gotten to the point where it's not reversible anymore. And the contributing factors causing this are not going to improve. Therefore, we can assume that this is the new normal. People continue to buy real estate along the beach. People continue to build houses. A lot of the smarter people are doing it further inland. And I think if I were to buy real estate in Southwest Florida, I would look for the more inland options like Port LaBelle. Maybe something like Okeechobee could have. Not yet, because keep in mind that even to this day, these are communities that have not really experienced too much growth from the red tide. You know, there's still a lot of people holding on to the notion. Does anybody know what this little guy is right here? I don't know what it is. It's very interesting. There's still people holding on to the notion that for some reason or another, this this red tide thing is it's not going to become a permanent thing. I mean, just think about laying here on the sand surrounded by dead fish and thinking that this situation is normal or that this is how the beach is supposed to be enjoyed. I don't know if I could wrap my mind around that concept. I'm going to walk on this side here. But there's even larger bones. Like, this is obviously a much larger bone. I mean, this could be a manatee, possibly. I'm not sure. This is a much larger bone right here. I mean, this is definitely a larger animal. Not sure what. I do believe that just because of the weather, South Florida is always going to be an attractive place for snowboarding. And that doesn't create a viable economy for the locals, for the full-time residents. That doesn't create opportunity for income that's reliable for your a lot of stuff. There's years where industries like tourism are not something you want to depend on. I am short-breathed. I'm struggling here to deal with the flies in my mouth and the smell and everything. I guess some people are able to just ignore the flies and the smell and the maggots and all that and kind of, in a sense, enjoy the beach. Some people's sensibilities and tolerance to these things are going to be different than others. But it's downright disappointing. Now the smell here is worse because we're downwind from it. So I think eventually Wauchula, Arcadia, Immokalee, all these inland places, Okeechobee, could have some type of economical benefit from the situation, but it seems like people are still investing along these coasts. And being a local who's seen the situation unfolding for a while now, I really question whether these are investments that you would really want to make. I mean, how viable and how much is left to this coast of Southwest Florida if we're not able to control, which probably we can't control it anymore. Damage has been done. But people are so greedy that they're still not reacting. I mean, the damage is here. It's obvious. It's been since 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. It's a lot of years for people to realize, hey, you know, this is not going away. Are there periods of the year where the red tide goes away? It's a little bit more decent. There sure are. But at what point do we say, okay, this is no longer reasonable? You know, here we are along some incredible beaches, and as you can see, this is pretty much dry here. Not too many people have been washing their feet off, and we have this whole place to ourselves right now. Not a soul to be seen here. This is just an incredible sight to behold. That a place as beautiful is sitting here vacant right now. One, because it's the summer. It is the summer, and it is the hottest season of the year. But you would really need to have a strong stomach to be on these beaches right now with this situation. I think what would make sense is for the beaches in North Florida, along that coast, for the real estate there to go up and for development to be bigger along that coast. However, That hasn't taken place. And I think from an economical standpoint, it's taken too long for people. I think they're greedy. They invested a lot of money in these condos and HOA fees to live in these places. And now, for some reason, this is going on, and the market just isn't reacting to the reality of what's going on here. The real estate market is mostly blinded, I think, by greed and by ignorance. Maybe a lot of the buyers are unaware of what's going on, the severity of it, the fact that it doesn't seem like it's going away or even getting better. Now, real estate on that coast, the Panhandle, has really been affordable since the hurricane did all the damage up there. But I think eventually, from somebody who travels Florida a lot, I think that the Panhandle, Panama City Beach, Destin, those places, while they are very propense to hurricanes and that type of situation with damage, I still feel that it's a much better place to invest in the long term because it's still affordable. And I think I would really be concerned with Sarasota to Naples Coast. And as a YouTuber, I've been telling you guys this for a while. When the market's going to react to this situation, I don't know when the market's going to finally say, okay, this is a permanent thing. This isn't a temporary thing. I don't know when the market's going to do that. I really don't. But from a logical standpoint, it's incredible that people are still investing so much into these areas and that the market hasn't caught on to the environmental crisis. I don't feel too confident in what's going on, and I wouldn't want to invest along the coast. I think for those of us who see this happening, we should probably consider maybe investing further inland or far enough to where you're not directly adjacent to the areas that are suffering this. But again, the market's not really reacting the way I think it should to this situation. And there's a lot of factors, from the fact that most people that are investing here have no idea what the crap they're investing into because they're not from here. And sometimes common sense and logic isn't what dominates the market. It's greed and speculation. And then that could definitely play a role. And if, there's enough people that are ignorant and they're buying despite the obvious concerns, well, then they can actually, the market can actually react to this situation. Not sure why we're stopping here, but yeah, the market can definitely, people with little knowledge, if there's enough of them, can definitely affect the real estate. This dude's got some serious stance. Yeah, buddy. He's pimping the little thing. Just stunningly one of the most beautiful places in Florida, beyond any doubt. There's nothing in Florida as beautiful as Venice. This is on par with Naples, which to me is one of the most beautiful places in Florida because I'm from there. The smell is so repugnant that, standing here, you can feel it. And people are trying to enjoy it the best way they can. But really, seriously, it's hard to stand here. Some of the contributing factors are golf courses and the fact that Florida isn't really able to tolerate as much farming as there is inland with sugarcane and the agriculture aspect of it. But it's probably more likely than not the temperature of the waters have been increasing over the last years. Overfishing, contamination. Everybody wants to have their lawn be green year round, which is probably not even natural. Could it be the golf courses? Could it be the amount of chemicals we use? Let me hear your thoughts and opinions about the red tide. To me, I think water temperature and human development, as long as there's human development, as long as there's chemicals being used, the environment really can't absorb that. And that's been one of my biggest theories on this. But of course, having a theory isn't going to solve the problem. And guys, while it's beautiful to be here, I'm going to be honest and say it's probably time for me to get in the car and get out because it's very unpleasant. The smell, it's hard to be here. To think that a place this beautiful can at the same time be so unappealing. They used to brag about having more golf courses per capita than anywhere else. I don't know if they're bragging about that anymore, because these golf courses take tons and tons of chemicals, which are probably a contributing factor to here. But water temperatures, overfishing. I also think dredging, they dredge so many canals so people can get their boats in and out. I think dredging is a small piece of the puzzle as well, because when they dredge these passes like Clam Pass, Wiggins Pass, there's hundreds of passes and they're constantly dredging. When they dredge these passes are meant to be very low. They're, naturally they're not more than 3 to 4 feet deep at most, and that's the way nature's supposed to be. I think these deep passes that we've made, because everybody wants to get their boat out on the Gulf, so we've made these hundreds and thousands of miles. Cape Coral is said to be the largest man-made canal system in the entire world. If you think you're going to do something that massive, the largest canal system in the world, think you're going to do that and you're not going to have ecological consequences for it, you're not thinking clearly. So I think this place's attractive things like golf courses and canal systems, which is what attracted people here to begin with, has kind of been its downfall. Just think about that. Cape Coral is the largest canal system in the world. Only in Dubai has something even remotely as close been attempted. The Emirates, that gives you an idea of how massive this system of canals is. And it's a massive interference. When you make a canal, you basically crack all the underwater aquifers that are in there. All those aquifers are cracked, and you release stuff into the water stream that would normally be released in a slow, constant, filtered, naturally process. Even in the Golden Gate Estates, when they make these canals, if you've ever seen a canal be made, you'll see water start to come out of the ground, gushing from the ground. And that groundwater normally gets filtered. There's so much that human development has done to interfere with this situation. There's so many contributing factors that, I know undoubtedly there's more than one contributing factor to this situation. And like I said, as a local who's seen it go from bad to worse, I don't really believe it's going to get better anytime soon. I also believe that some of the environmental agencies who are responsible for this situation in some type of degree, in some type of way, we're going to pass on the pier. Let's get going. I was going to show you guys the pier, which is absolutely beautiful, but I don't think I can bear being here any longer. I feel like these environmental agencies, they know more than they're telling us. But if they were to say the truth, a lot of people would be losing their jobs, and a lot of people would be losing their investments, and a lot of people would pretty much be losing their freedom and liberty. So I think the environmental agencies know more than they're telling us, and they're more responsible than they're willing to admit. You're never going to see an engineer, like now in that giant building collapse in Miami, do you think you're going to see the engineer that designed that building come out and say, well, when I mixed the concretes and I chose the concrete mixtures, I made a mistake? You'll rarely find somebody admitting guilt for their mistake, especially when there's money, massive amounts of money involved. You're not going to see the engineer that designed the building come out and say, I made a mistake. Well, the same way, our environmental engineers, they're not going to come out and say, hey, we made a mistake here. And I think a large part of the blame could fall on them. Who knows? But I have seen, somebody who wanted to be a marine biologist since I was little. We would come back from school and, the crocodile hunter would be on TV. And for us, the environment and all that was just kind of the way we grew up here in Florida. Me and all the kids that I grew up with, we used to watch the crocodile hunter. We were fascinated with nature, with the environment, all of that stuff. We would go and we would catch little lizards and little insects and figure out how everything worked. That's kind of how we grew up here in Florida, growing up like that and kind of having a little bit of an understanding of how it's changed. You'll kind of understand if you're a local that grew up here more than these people that are so-called scientists that grew up somewhere else and they haven't seen these changes take place. If you grew up in South Florida like I did, and you got home to watch a crocodile hunter and then you went outside after that show was over and caught a snake in your backyard and played with it, and that's what you did every single day of your life, that was what you did, you have some type of understanding. Unfortunately, I think a lot of it's irreversible, and I don't know when people are going to catch on to that. Maybe they won't. When you look at places like New York and Los Angeles, which have clearly taken kind of a dive in the wrong direction, but the real estate markets are still growing somehow. They're not growing as fast as other places, but there's still appreciation to some degree. Even though people have left the place, vacated the place, some people just refuse to take the economical losses. You know, the people refuse to acknowledge, you know, the consequences of their actions in an economical aspect. So that's all good stuff to think about and talk about. Personally, if you're moving to this area, I would consider like Plantation, just as far east as you can go. That's like the easternmost part of the Venice area. I definitely recommend it. I still think it's an amazing place, but just like Venice is dealing with it, my hometown of Naples is also dealing with it. I mean, the entire Florida is dealing with this, and I know it's not on the news right now. It's kind of faded to the background, but it's still a very relevant topic. Unfortunately, it seems like for, you know, the sake of their economy and their investments and all that, just too many people are unwilling to acknowledge the situation or even talk about it anymore. A lot of people say, Jose, you just talk so much garbage about Florida. I don't consider it talking garbage. I consider it acknowledging where we could be better. And a lot of times if you don't acknowledge where there's room for improvement, you're never going to be better, you know. One thing about the people of Southwest Florida, I believe that they're always willing to make adjustments when needed. I can't believe how much effect our videos have had. Like, we've suggested a lot of things in our videos, and somewhere down the line those changes do take place because they say, yeah, this person's right, we need to do this, and they've done it. So my criticism has done a lot in a lot of places. You know, we've raised awareness to a lot of things through my opinion, and that has made life better for a lot of people. A lot of reactive action. So instead of just saying, okay, here's somebody criticizing, let's talk bad about this person, or, you know, whatever. That's not the way, you know, a lot of people have reacted. A lot of people said, okay, this person's right. This is a problem. We do need to change it. And the changes are made for the improvement of the community. So I do think that there's a positive outcome to critical journalism, and that is that it expands our minds and helps us to find solutions and make the world a better place for everybody to enjoy. And that can be difficult when we're in denial, when we don't want to accept the reality. It's sad, though, that the incentive for those changes has to be an economical thing. Whether economical or not, this is our home. This is where we're from. Let me hear your thoughts and opinions. Checking out from beautiful, beautiful Venice, Florida. I think this is still an incredible place. We just have a lot of things we need to address so that future generations can enjoy what was once, well, one of the most beautiful places to be. At some point, mistakes were made. Well, that's where we are now. If you guys have noticed, I've been coughing and choking since I got to Florida. Undoubtedly, the red tide is a contributing factor to it.